Welcome to another episode of Chris McDaniel's America here on the Midnight Ride, your home of the anti-establishment movement in this country. With me as always, Jack Fairchild. Jack, how are you this Sunday?
Hey, it's good to be back. I'm doing pretty good. You know, we've been gone for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, things got busy. Life takes over, and this is only a part-time job for us. We have other full-time responsibilities that include not only our professions, but taking care of two knucklehead sons of mine from time to time. So it's been a busy time, but we're good to be back. Glad to be back here with you. And hopefully, as always, you're able to tune in, if not today, tomorrow, the next day. And if you have any questions at all about our subject matter, as always, right there in the comment section under the post, happy to answer those at some point in time after the show ends today. Now, with that said, this is another opportunity today for Jack to kind of steer this thing and ask me a series of questions pertaining to all sorts of events that are taking place in this country and otherwise around the world. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and let's proceed in a Q&A fashion, and let's cover some of these hot button topics.
There are a lot of stuff to cover, Chris, and that's part of the reason why I approached you. Let's do another interview session, because I feel like when we are able to do this, it takes a little bit off of your plate to go find those stories, but it also allows us to hit a few more topics than normal. So let's start off, I guess, with the question everybody always wants to ask you first. Any updates on what you're thinking about in your future?
No, none at all. I've been thinking about all the possibilities, but there's been no decision made as to what the future looks like politically. What I do know is that between the ability to participate in some of these Charlie Kirk memorials, and more on that later, certainly, speaking again across the state and still writing an awful lot, I think right now my calling is to keep educating and doing the best I can to spread the message of conservatism. As far as an office in the future, I'm not foreclosing that. That certainly is a possibility, and all options are on the table. I think Mississippi and other states, we need good, strong conservative leaders that won't compromise, not only with the rhinos in our party, but with the Democrats on the other side of the aisle. And Jack, I've said this a million times, I think the greatest enemy or adversary that we have as conservatives isn't so much the Democrats. Mm-hmm. I think that's people sometimes blink and they say, what do you mean? Well, it's simple. We have betrayal from within. Elements of our own party are more concerned about power and acquisition and making deals with Democrats that they have basically forgot what it was like to even be conservative. There's no greater example of that than the present national debt. Now, let me tell you a little story about that. This is going to blow your mind. Listen to me for a minute, everybody. 2014, not that long ago. 2014, I was running against U.S. Senator Thad Cochran. Senator Cochran, 41 years in Washington, a politician that many Mississippians beloved. His issue was different than mine in that I was trying to make a case against federal spending. Mm-hmm. And I did my best to make that case against federal spending. And it resonated among Republicans in this state. At the time, I would go to speeches, and I would always lament the fact that the national debt was $17 trillion. That's what it was. Just $17 trillion. And I was mad then. This was 11 years ago, and I could not believe we'd allowed ourselves to come to this point where $17 trillion was an issue with the debt. This week, $38 trillion is the national debt. Just do that math for a second. In just the past 10 years, the national debt has more than doubled. That means we've accumulated more national debt in 10 years than we did the first 240 years of this country's existence.
It's crazy.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, those of you out there seem to think that national debts don't matter. Well, they do matter for a lot of different reasons. One of the things happens, the more we spend, the more we crowd out other public expenditures and even private expenditures. Here's a good way to look at that. Let's just say, and this is not a hypothetical, this is reality. Let's just say you have interest on a credit card that has to be paid. And let's just say the interest alone on your credit card exceeds your major other expenses for your home. That would be a problem. Just think about that. What if the interest alone exceeded your mortgage payment for a month, just the interest, or maybe quadrupled it, whatever the case may be. I think as a citizen, you would look at that and say, boy, we got problems in my household.
You should.
Look at these numbers. The federal government is immense. It's huge. It's way too big, way too powerful, spends way too much money. Here's some perspective for you. The interest alone to service the debt will be greater this year than the entire amount we spend on our military. Wow. Folks, and it gets worse, because as governments try to make up the difference between what they actually have coming in versus what they have going out, sometimes they have to do something called print money. When they're not borrowing money, they're printing money. Why do you think prices are getting so much more expensive? You do realize there is a cause and effect with inflationary upward curbs and increases based on public expenditures. It's like people look at the debt and think, well, it's not my problem. It's never going to materialize to be an issue, but it's materializing around you every single day. The price of everything continues to increase. That's driven in large part by public spending. I won't even get into what happens when you can't spend to exert your influence because the monies are no longer there, and what evils arise when that does occur. The bottom line is, and I'm going off on a tangent, we tried to be conservative, but our party's filled with a bunch of wimps.
Yep.
It's filled with a bunch of wimps. And so I've always said the greatest enemy is from within. So what I'm going to run for, wherever I think I can find a way to fight and to re-exert what I think is the conservative nature of the Republican Party.
Even if that's just still doing a talk show and talking to folks.
Maybe, but I guarantee you this, I'm not excluding anything.
Yeah.
We have too many people in this state that sit and wait in line to get the tap on the shoulder to run for office. Mm-hmm. And they do that because they've already cut deals.
Yep.
They do it because they're part of the established order. So they sit and wait their time and they get tapped on the shoulder. Yes, son, it's your turn now. Only so long as we can control you. I'm not into all that. I think that's ridiculous. And I think that's part of the problem with this entire system is we have too many career politicians waiting in line to get tapped on the shoulder.
Yep.
That's a problem.
100% agree with that. And it's one of the things I'd love to see us break away from that trend, whether it's through a candidate like yourself or we get someone else that is hungry. You know, it's just this rinse and repeat cycle of these politicians. Let me run for this. Now I'm going to run for that. And it's because, and I'm not talking about ones that are doing it for the right reason, who are few and far between. I'm talking about the ones you're talking about who've been tapped on the shoulder.
So listen, so many voters are obtuse. Not all.
Most.
Someone will try to use that against me one day. So many voters don't ask the follow-up questions. Mm-hmm. Let's say, for example, a strong conservative challenger runs against one of these little fellas that are waiting on their line or waiting on their turn to run. And the little fellas, they have the support of the establishment. So these little eager guys that want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, I don't know what happened. Maybe when they were kids, they weren't hugged enough. But for whatever reason, they need to hold an office. And to do that, they're willing to exchange their principles for payments, campaign donations. And then they go on TV against the challenger, and they spend untold millions. See, voters don't ask, how are they able to expend all of that airtime money? Where does that money come from? They never ask that question.
Not once.
And so you see a guy on TV 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a day, and he's bashing the challenger. And obviously he's going to win the race because he has the TV money to spend. The voters just watch it and they don't question, I wonder where that boy got all those millions of dollars. And the answer is he got it from those butts he's kissing.
But they'll question the challenger when the incumbent questions, well, he's just getting out of state money. They're quick to question a challenger, but they always ignore the incumbent who has more money than the challenger. They don't ask where his money comes from.
That's just it. They don't ask, but they should, because if you go look at those campaign finance reports, almost all of it's going to be out-of-state money.
Absolutely.
And the money that is from in-state is going to be folks that have direct contracts with the state that are trying to keep their contracts with the state. It's quid pro quo. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Yeah. And we wonder why things never change. To your point, these people get tapped on the shoulder to run, and they're so eager to be somebody because they fail at everything else, right?
Yeah.
They're so eager to be somebody, they get in line, and they begin to cut deals.
Title over principle.
Begin to cut deals. And nobody ever asks, where'd all this money come from? Well, it came from the same establishment you claim you don't like.
Yeah.
It came from the same group of good old boys you claim shouldn't be in office, but you'll go right along with it. You'll vote for that same guy because he has the money. You've seen the TV commercials. He's never taken up for Trump in his life, but when he runs for office, he's pro-Trump all the way.
He's right beside a Trump cutout, so
right.
that way he looks like he's right there with him.
You've seen the ads, and then he's going to have this nice, beautiful family, and he's going to tell you he's pro-military and he's pro-life and he's against taxation. But the whole time he's been in office, he's lived against most Republican principles.
Yep.
It's just that now he has the money to project that image. Mm-hmm. And the voters fall for it time and time and time again, which is why, coincidentally, we are $38 trillion in the hole, despite running fiscally conservative Republicans. Think about it. Every race, I'm a fiscal Republican. We have to get our financial house in order. Then they get elected, and they keep doing exactly the same thing because they got tapped on the shoulder, because they are part of the established order now. You'll know them by the fruits they bear.
Absolutely.
I just wish the voters would wake up and see that.
Look, as much as we could probably spend the entire hour talking on this, if we want to get to some of the other questions, I got to move us along here. You recently spoke at a Charlie Kirk memorial at the University of Southern Mississippi. Tell us a little bit about it. And, I've been told that the security was through the roof at this thing. So tell us how the event was and talk a little bit about the security measures they had in place.
Well, I mean, that's it was a bit uncommon. I've been in big races in my life, and I've been surrounded by security a lot over the years. Mm-hmm. But here it was exceptional, which is a positive thing. I mean, you don't want violence, right? And we've seen the proclivity of the American left to commit violence against anyone they disagree with. So, to that extent, I was happy to see that they took extra precaution during the event. It was an outdoor event, which naturally my red flags went up when I arrived. And
it was supposed to be indoor, right?
Initially, I was told it was. That could have been misunderstanding on my part, though. Who knows? My perception was it was going to be indoors. And then I pull up and see this big crowd and the podium sitting outside. And I'm thinking, oh, geez. But I felt much better about recognizing the security that was in place. And it wasn't so much a Charlie Kirk memorial, even though it was a reminder to the people in attendance what the ultimate responsibility is after something like this occurs. Because you lose someone that's so vocal and so talented and has touched so many people. And it's one thing to have a memorial and recognize their life. You should. But then what? What's the next step? If you can't use these moments of tragedy to inspire a movement, to get people involved in ways they probably wouldn't have been involved in the first place, then it's all for nothing. So the idea was to take this and motivate folks to re-engage the system. It's an extension of the same message you and I have been preaching for 20 years.
Yep.
It's just that it has to be, I think, it has to be spoken again and again and again because people are so busy and we're so distracted. And it's hard to stay focused on the issues that really matter. And so we use the event to kind of focus people and to do what Charlie would have done, and that is to keep fighting and to try to spread this gospel of conservatism.
Speaking about doing what Charlie would have done, the Southern Miss Turning Point USA group has invited you, and you've already accepted, my understanding, to host a Prove Me Wrong debate there on campus. How important is it to keep Charlie's legacy of encouraging debate alive? And of course, I think you've already answered my next question, which was safety concerns about doing it. Sounds like based on what you've already seen from the security, you feel pretty safe.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The reason it's important is because it's not so much to win a debate or to lose a debate. That's not really the reason these things happen. And don't get me wrong, we're going to have a good time debating, good time fighting. But that's not the point of any of this. And it wasn't the point from his perspective either. You go into the devil's den, so to speak, and I'm not saying USM is that. I'm saying that college campuses are known to be heavily influenced by the American left.
Yes.
And when you go to those places that you're going to be outnumbered, and some very smart people are going to be asking tough questions. That's good, because there has to be a time in this country, I think, even now, where we can have these debates, be civil about it, and then not let it turn angry or violent. So we learn lessons about how to disagree agreeably And we learn lessons about how universities are supposed to be marketplaces of ideas and not just this monolithic approach toward liberalism. So if you can sit in a university and you can allow the conservative message to be heard, that alone is a victory, because a lot of those folks aren't hearing it at all. Yeah. So just sitting there, having the conversation is a positive thing for the students, for the speakers, everyone involved. So I'm not going there to win. I'm going there to be part of a winning effort by expressing myself while we still can in college campuses. So look, I think it's going to be a fun event. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, Chris. When is that?
I want to say November the 11th.
November the 11th.
I'll have to get you a time for that.
You know what? Do you know if it's another outdoor event or indoor event, or have you been told yet?
We're not gonna announce that yet. I have no idea.
Don't blame you. Switching gears again, Chris. The government has been shut down now, counting today, 26 days. First question: why do you think the Democrats feel like this is a winning strategy for them? You know, because so far they won't bend. And second question is, how long do you think it'll take before the Republicans finally cave?
Oh, they're both sides will blink pretty soon. Now, let's talk about the shutdown. 26 days, roughly. And to be honest with you, I haven't noticed a single change in my life.
Me either.
Now, that is the mark and the nature of being an independent-minded, strong Republican. Mm-hmm. You see, I'm checks stopping. My checks are still moving toward me.
Mine too.
Because I don't work for the government. More importantly, I'm not a ward of the government. They're not my master the way they are some people. So I can look at this for what it is, as absolutely nothing to do with my life whatsoever. And to me, that's the pinnacle of my success of being an independent-minded human being. You shouldn't go through life being dependent on the government or anything else, right?
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so here we are, and we're hearing those that are dependent screaming bloody murder. I'm not saying those are bad people. Some of those folks are victims of a Democratic Party that's got them trapped in a system. Others, legitimately so, are injured or have disabilities where they can't break apart from this dependence. And those people need our care, support. However, when we're talking about just the shutdown, whatever. 26 days, it could have been 2 hours. I have no idea, because it had no impact on most of our lives. So I think we overstate that. Now, your question was the Democrats, why aren't they bending? Here's why they're not bending. Historically speaking, most Americans tend to blame Republicans for the shutdowns.
Yep.
So the Democrats think this is a good PR strategy for them. I don't think it's working for them very well this time, for a lot of different reasons. Number two, you asked me whether Republicans cave. The answer is yes. Both sides are going to cave somewhat, and then both sides will claim victory. It's going to happen pretty soon, because by the middle of November, some of the military payments will begin to cease happening, and there'll be other problems with government that occur, they're saying, and that's going to ratchet up the anxiety level for both sides. But neither side's going to get a big victory, and both are going to claim big victories. Then they're going to use the social media networks to make it sound like everything was perfect on their behalf, and both sides will fall for it, and nothing will ever change. Do I sound frustrated? I am frustrated, and here's why. All these years of all these knuckleheads we elect, and they can't even pass a budget. It's the most basic thing of leadership, to pass a budget, and they don't. Continuing resolutions, that's what they're doing. So what's a continuing resolution? You say, let's take the Biden era spending, which was already too dadgum high, and you just sign it and keep it going with some expenditures that are increased, just for the heck of it, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's not winning.
No.
You see the problem? The Republicans now are flexing over this, but they're spending Biden-era monies.
Exactly.
At the same levels. That's not a victory. That's called massive deficit spending and massive debts. And then, get this, we tinker around the edges. We'll cut something here and something here. It's budget dust. It's budget dust. It's not decreasing the outlays of overall expenditures. Don't take my word for it. The CBO, independent, Congressional Budget Office, just read their reports on where this is heading. It's a nightmare scenario. So look, it's frustrating because I hear all this posturing, but nothing's really being done.
No.
You know it, I know it. Anybody that pays attention to this system knows it. It's the same little circle of life in Washington.
Yep.
Nothing ever really changes.
And it's frustrating, Chris, because, I mean, you had, when Elon Musk first went in there and they created Doge, you had hope that maybe, and they found a lot of, it was just dust, as you were talking about. They found areas that they could have cut, and they refused to vote to codify those cuts anyway. And it was, like you said, it was just budget dust. It wasn't even the impactful that we truly need, but they wouldn't even commit to that.
No, they won't. That's the problem. Both sides. I'm telling you, it's the same big machine. Mm-hmm. They don't disagree that money should be there and that government should grow. Now, Republicans give it lip service. They say government shouldn't be so big. Then they go right around funding it like they always have. The distinction is the Republicans have their pet projects, right?
Yep.
The Democrats have their pet projects. Nobody's questioning whether it should be growing. They're only questioning where it should be spent. Yeah. But either way, it's trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in the hole. And we're adding to it roughly $1 trillion every couple of months now. You do this math. And you look out into the future and you extrapolate these large sums. And those of us that can add, we know there's going to be a day when this doesn't end well for the United States of America.
100%.
And yet nobody cares. We're so preoccupied. Man, all that matters right now is, can we own the left online?
I agree.
And if you go to their sites, they're trying to own us online. But we're not winning.
We're not.
Now, don't get me wrong. There have been moments where it appears we're winning. Executive orders are great, but that's not winning. It's temporary.
Yep.
It's temporary. And that win, when it's reversed in 3 years, what have you done? What have you won?
Nothing.
That's the problem. Congress is giving away its authority. They're doing absolutely nothing. There's nothing going into law that can change the direction of this country. It's all social media posts and trash talk. I think we're heading down the wrong direction. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not Trump's fault. He's doing what he can with a very difficult circumstance. Congress is the problem.
Amen.
And it always has been.
Well, the one thing where I think Trump fails is he doesn't go after members of Congress the way that he should. He typically backs incumbents himself, and that's frustrating to me because these are the very people that are causing the problem and causing him headaches. But because they'll vote with him on a couple of issues, it seems that's enough for him to throw out that endorsement. I think he needs to reevaluate who he's endorsing personally.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of Americans, we scratch our heads and wonder why that's happening. Mm-hmm. What do? I can tell you this, 3 more years.
Yeah. And
everything that's been done will be undone.
Yep.
And then what do you have except a mess on your hands? Now, how do I know that's going to happen? The Democrats, you know how we had Project 2025 and it caused all that uproar?
Yeah.
You saw that.
Yeah, it was political dust.
I saw a Democrat the other day claim that they're going to have Project 2029. So here we are now. One group takes control, and they implement all the executive orders, and they do their best to tinker with the machinery. And then the other group takes control, and it erases everything that was done. And then this is how the government begins to operate over the next 15, 20, 30 years. Nobody trusts anybody, but no real changes are being implemented. I'm telling you, the only way to save this place is to decentralize that federal government. The only way we save this country is to reduce its size and its power and its scope. And right now, nobody is inclined to do that. So you have this up and down and up and down. Where does that end except more debt, more loss of civil liberties, and more chaos on the streets, right? Decentralize the Fed, bring the powers back to the states, and you'll see some degree of peace in our time. We've said that some blue in the faith. Let California be California.
Yeah.
But let Mississippi be Mississippi. And let's quit fighting over that 60 square miles up there in that swamp, right?
Absolutely.
But nobody wants to do that.
No, and it's frustrating because they know what we know. It's not like they're oblivious to the debt. But I don't want to get into the because we're coming close to the break, so I don't want to go into the next question. But I do want to ask you, still on this topic, especially because we've brought up the debt now twice. How much longer do we have, Chris, before we finally drive off that financial cliff?
That's the crazy question because it's an impossible thing to quantify precisely. It can't be done. What we know is that as the debt increases, the credit worthiness of the U.S. can be questioned by outside investors. Have you ever heard of a credit downgrade?
I have, yes.
Okay, that happens from time to time with companies, right? The reason that happens is the company's investment isn't quite as stable as it once was a few years ago. So there's a downgrade.
Yeah.
The same thing is slowly happening to the dollar and to the American government, where we have the ability to pay almost all. We've never defaulted on paying borrowers that have borrowed our bonds, and they expect a small interest rate in return. We've never had a problem paying it back. What happens one day if all those borrowers decide that we're no longer a safe investment?
Yeah.
And then they begin to pull those investments and go elsewhere. Because don't get me wrong, China and Russia have a vested interest in trying to create another world, if you will, where investors are more concerned with areas outside of the U.S. as opposed to inside the U.S. If that happens, how do we bridge the gap between what we're bringing in and what we're paying out? And the answer is you cannot. And so at some point, there'll be widespread cuts in the Fed. No, I'm okay with that. But you better be prepared for a significant disruption in things that have been normal for an awful long time, right?
Yeah.
When is that date? Nobody knows. But it's coming. It's coming. It's just a matter of time.
You know, it's definitely frustrating because we know, I mean, you've got Democrats got their foot on the accelerator towards that cliff. Republicans just seem to have set cruise control, but still headed in the same path. So it's definitely frustrating. Chris, I'll take us to the break just because I want to tease, what's coming next. When we get back, I want to ask Chris about this former Ole Miss employee that's suing the university over her termination. I think as Chris being an attorney, I think will be able to give us some extra insights into this. But we'll get into that when we get back from this word from our sponsors.
Resort.
Welcome back to Chris McDaniel's America. Here on the Midnight Ride, we're going through a series of Q&As today, and you were just about to ask about...
There's a former Ole Miss employee that is suing the university over her termination. Her name is Lauren Stokes, a former executive assistant in the University of Mississippi's Development Office. She said, of course, she was terminated over a social media post that she endorsed on what the media calls her private Instagram, but social media is not truly private. It's hence the name social. She said something about Charlie Kirk, the right-wing activist and CEO of Turning Point USA. Chris, have you seen? First off, you saw what the post she shared, which was ridiculously absurd and insensitive. You, of course, also saw when the university acted quickly and terminated her. Have you seen the suit yet? And does she have any standing?
Let's talk about that. First of all, I am over here shrinking into the ground. My chair is doing this and has been for some time. At some point, I probably won't be seen over the table.
It's been funny to watch from my vantage point.
I would try to correct it, but I'll fall or something.
It might be the fault of my coworker, Kevin Lindsay, because he sits in that chair later in the week, so it might be Kevin's fault. We'll blame Kevin.
Is Kevin 5'3"? What is he? Do his feet not touch the ground when he sounds like a big boy? Anyway, yes, here's the way free speech works, okay? And this is a complicated subject for a lot of people because people believe they have the right to say whenever, however, and there are no ramifications for it, no repercussions, if you will.
Yeah.
It's not the way it works in real life. Now, here's the way it works. A private employer and private individuals can take action against your free speech at any time, any way they want to. You say, how can that be? Well, the Constitution protects you against government action. We call it state action. It doesn't protect you against personal action or individual action. Say, for example, you come to my house and you start saying some really stupid stuff. I have every right to kick you out of the house. You can't claim you have a First Amendment right to speak in my house or in my yard for that matter. So remember, it takes government action or state action to kind of implicate this First Amendment protection. What's the Constitution say? Government shall not. Government shall not. It doesn't say Jack shall not. It says government shall not.
Yeah.
Right? So keep that in mind first of all. But a smart liberal might say, well, wait a second. The university is part of the government. And you would be correct there. So as a general rule, a state entity or agency cannot take action, punitive action, against someone based on speech. That's accurate. They can't. However, if the speech is disruptive to the learning environment or disruptive to the organization's purpose, then you can take action. So it becomes a factually important case from that perspective. So she makes this comment, and all of a sudden, there's this massive brouhaha at the university, right? Folks are fighting. Folks are aggravated. Folks are pointing fingers. Donors are about to quit giving money. That is the type of thing that disrupts the learning process, that disrupts the purpose of the organization. That is not protected speech. If it were, it would be chaos everywhere. So she's going to lose her lawsuit. Now, granted, the way universities work, there'll be some settlement at some point.
Yeah.
Right? They're not going to take it to court.
Oh, yeah.
They're just not. So it'll just fade away one day. She'll get a little something on the side, and it'll go away, and that's what's going to happen. But she doesn't have a strong legal case now.
Well, Chris, it's one of those things that I find fascinating because you got people screaming it's a First Amendment violation because they don't understand what you just explained. He just got
Can you cut the camera off of me?
I hope it's locked in on him. We're having a serious show, and Chris is over here shrinking. This is the fun of life.
Forget about it. Okay, we're down here now. Is this better? Can you see? Am I better? Am I higher?
I don't think you're any. I think you're lower.
Anyway.
I'm lost now. I'm wondering if I just need to move on to the next one.
Even this is now blocking my face, right? What's this? So we go.
Oh goodness! But no, this thought that they have that it's a First Amendment issue. They clearly haven't listened to what you just said, haven't done any research because there's so many misinterpretations of the First Amendment, and I think the other thing, Chris, is a social media page. Even if it's your page, is it ever truly private? Because the same hypocritical mainstream media that is saying her private Instagram page, they're the very ones that will go to someone they disagree with private Instagram page and plaster what they set out for everyone.
Well, generally speaking, activity taken on social media is private for the most part. But did that private conduct interfere with the learning environment? Did it interfere with the USM's or the university's substantial purpose?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter necessarily if it was solely private, if it did. So it gets complicated, but she still doesn't have a strong case at all. It's going to settle for nothing, and she's going to walk a long way, and that's going to be the end of it. Did I say USM? It was University of Mississippi.
Yeah, it was Ole Miss, yes.
I don't even know how I misspoke there. It seems like every liberal now goes to the University of Mississippi.
Well, we were talking about Southern Miss at the start and then switch gears, so it's easy.
It's mind-boggling. I went to law school at Ole Miss.
Was it that bad then?
No. But you could sense it. It was happening. It was happening. Now it's like it's really a strange thing for the leftists, right? They hate the South. They hate institutions like Ole Miss that have this strict social hierarchy of sorts. But they can't wait to get there and raise hell. Isn't it something? It's kind of like if you hate a spot so badly, why not just go somewhere else? I mean, Stanford would love to have you, right? Berkeley would love to have you. Yeah. Why come down here and mess this up, right? But for the last couple of years, there's been a couple of these professors at Ole Miss that have been super vocal. And again, some of that is protected speech. But when it goes a little too far, it can become problematic for that party. And it should be a problem for them.
Speaking of raising hell, Chris, recently there was the No Kings 2.0 protest, their second go around of this silly nonsense. I mean, I'm sure you saw it. Everybody saw. Of course, the media was inflating the numbers. I hate to tell you guys, they didn't have 7 million protesters in the United States last weekend. Never am buying that. Matter of fact, some of the video and photographs they showed of the protests were from previous events. I'm 99% sure the photos of the protests in Chicago were from the Cubs World Series.
But here's the thing, though. Does it really matter? I mean,
No.
7 million? Our country has over 300 million people in it. And so 1.5% decide to do something? I mean, what are we supposed to do?
Sounds impressive
what are we supposed to do,
in
right?
context.
So, I mean, there's 300 plus million people and 7 million show up. Okay, it's cute. Now, here's the thing. I don't mind those protests.
I don't either.
I think people have to understand the distinction here. I think people should protest, both right and left. I think it's good for the country when there's dissent. But it's so hypocritical. It's so hypocritical. These are the same people that bowed down to a health czar when it came to shots and masks. And there were no kings then. These are the same people that built the imperial presidency, from Woodrow Wilson to FDR to Lyndon Johnson to Bill Clinton to Barack Obama. Yep. They built the imperial presidency. And now Trump grabs a hold of it, and they think somehow there's a king involved now. They didn't mind when they had the kings. They just mind when we have the king. First of all, I don't like kings. I know you don't like kings either, but I still can't seem to find one. I've been looking for one in this country. The only person I've seen they think is a king is Trump, and he was elected, wasn't he?
Last time I checked.
How many kings are elected in a lifetime?
It just doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen very often. Democratically elected in a fair election, according to liberals themselves, and he wins the Electoral College, he wins the popular vote, but they still call him a king. And it's weird because what has he done that involves a dictate influencing their individual behavior? Because I don't know of any king that would have allowed 7 million people to protest, much less 70.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
He let them protest. That's not king-like material.
No.
But the point is, it's so hypocritical because they create this office of all this power. You do realize the presidency, the executive, not always had the power it does today. And the liberals, for years, turned a blind eye, allowed it to empower itself beyond recognition. And we told them, and they scoffed at us. We said, one day, it's going to turn on you. And they always had the same refrain. No, our presidents are better, and they're never going to use this for bad purposes. Well, of course they're not. They're men. And those Democratic presidents did use the office for bad purposes.
Yes, they did.
And they did. The Espionage Act, Wilson, the arrest of Japanese citizens in World War II, FDR. They've used it for a million bad acts. Democrats didn't care then.
Yeah.
Didn't care then. They create this big throne, and then they wonder why somebody else wants to sit at it. Did you notice that?
I have, Chris, and I think you have a pretty good column on this topic that you can find right now at leadercall.com.
Yeah.
So it's a you definitely, and you repeated some of it right there, but it's a really good column. I encourage folks to go seek out. You've already shared it on your social, so folks can find it there, of course. You brought up some of the things, of course, I don't know if any of these protesters know exactly what they're protesting. I've yet to truly understand it.
It's not clear. We know they hate President Trump. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, it's not real clear what's happening. It's perplexing because if you talk to people in the inner cities, or for that matter, just let me not inner cities, any big city where crime is a problem, the moms and dads there, the citizens of that town, they'll all tell you the same thing. I wish something could be done about the crime rate. And that's Democrats, and that's Republicans and independents. I wish something could be done about the crime rate. It's as though they hate Trump so much, they're willing to defend crime before they'll say he's doing something positive.
They kind of are defending crime with their protests and trying to protect illegals.
That's what I said. They're defending crime, so they can't give him any credit for doing something positive. It's irrational, and I don't understand it. Do they have a right to do it? Absolutely.
Yep.
Should they? Fine. Knock yourselves out. But it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Well, Chris, one thing that they're mad as all get out about is Trump's destruction of the East Wing to build this new ballroom. The East Wing was built in 1902, but it was redone in 1942 under FDR. Democrats are screaming, this is destroying history. And again, these are the same Democrats who were willing to tear down statues.
Wait, destroying history. And yet, when those mobsters, those mob, every protest they've had in the last several years has been violent, and cities got burned.
Yeah.
Those buildings were historical property as well, and they didn't seem to care about that. They didn't care about the books being rewritten and removed from libraries. They didn't care about the monuments being torn down or flags changed. They cared about none of that history. Why is this history all of a sudden so important?
Because it's Trump.
Because it's Trump. That's exactly right. They hate him that much. Look, I'm the same way. I don't like seeing pictures of historical buildings that have been altered or destroyed. But we're being misled just a bit because these alterations happen all the time. And would I have preferred that he retained the East Wing? Maybe. Am I losing any sleep over it? No, because once it's done, I guarantee you what's going to happen. When it's done, it's going to be a gorgeous, beautiful structure, and everybody's going to be proud of it at some point. It's just they can't stand the idea that he could do something without being hated for it.
What about Representative Eric Swalwell from California, him saying the next Democratic presidential nominee must vow to demolish Trump's ballroom?
See how silly this is? So no matter how beautiful it may be, or the fact that it didn't cost the taxpayers any money, just because it was built by him, it has to be re-destroyed. Yeah. But there's a lesson there, because this is the way they're going to see the world. Whatever we've done up to this point, they will vow to destroy. And then 4 years after that, we'll vow to re-invoke. And then 4 years after that, they'll vow to destroy. Until we figure out this is a pattern that can't be reconciled or corrected, you're going to see nothing but violence and heartache in this country. I'm telling you, take the power away from Washington, bring it back to the states, have some order and some dignity left before this thing gets out of control. Because you're right, that's exactly what they're going to do. Everything he's tried. Here's an interesting component. What about this? We know that Trump's been great trying to secure the border, right? Right? Yeah. He's made a whole bunch of arrests trying to secure the border and to maintain the integrity of our immigration laws. How do they reverse that? Does everybody get to come in for 4 years?
Of course.
You see what I'm getting at here?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so ridiculous. Just law and order and structure, institutions should matter a little bit, but they don't seem to matter to the Democrats so long as Trump has utilized the institution.
That's fair.
And if he's touched the institution, it all has to go. Right?
Absolutely.
So, whatever.
Well, Chris, this one I don't want to spend a lot of time on because I've got a more fun one we're going to go to, but I'm sure you've seen that Kamala Harris is teasing another run for president.
I hope she does.
Just how delusional is she?
Listen, let her run. Be fabulous.
Only if she gets to be the nominee again. If she just runs, I mean, seriously, she has no shot.
It's still positive, though, because they have to spend money against each other.
That's fair.
So, I mean, yeah, let her jump on in there. I mean, let AOC be her running mate. Let's have a good time with this. It'd be the best thing that happened to our party in a long, long time.
How about her and AOC against one another in a primary?
I don't think they would ever do that. They seem to share too much in common philosophically. Would that be fun, though? Be like Rock'em Sock'em Robots up there, wouldn't it?
It would.
I would love to see those two ladies fighting over an issue that which neither one of them understand anything about.
They'd be fighting over a single brain cell.
I mean, it would be a very limited debate, and then it would basically come down to insults at some point. But that's where it gets really tricky, because how does one insult the other without being considered a sexist or somehow a racist?
It's fair.
It gets really complex.
It's a problem.
I would love to see it. I think what you're going to find is that Harris will figure out at some point that she can't raise the capital to be formidable anymore. And I did read where the Democrat donors have been very reluctant to give her a ton of money this time, because they're trying to figure out how the heck to win a race, right? Mm-hmm. And here's my advice to you, Democrat donors, as to how the heck to win a race. Quit being so ridiculously stupid about these crazy issues.
Yep.
For instance, a man is a man and a woman is a woman.
It's simple.
Really simple stuff. Number two, there aren't birth givers. They're moms.
That's fair, too.
They're just little things in the language that would go a long way. But they can't, because they're too tied to the blue-haired ladies that are out there protesting. They don't know what, but they're out there protesting, and that's what's controlling the entire Democratic Party now. It's the tail wagging the dog. There may still be a moderate out there somewhere, but I haven't heard them or seen from them in years. Have you?
No.
Because the radicals are taking control of the party. And you got Jeffries yelling like a lunatic on one hand. You've got the blue-haired ladies out there in the streets on the other. What about just common sense. They can't even
left the building a long time ago.
they used to be a party they claimed that would take care of the working man. But the working men don't even trust them anymore.
Nope.
Because what have they done for the working man? The answer is nothing, because that's toxic masculinity, and they don't like men anymore. So what are they supposed to do except keep losing elections? I hope they do. Keep going down this path of lunacy, this third world thing you've got going. New York will be a fine example as well as to how your policies fail. Go ahead and elect the guy. Let's watch him govern for 4 years, and you'll finally see that socialism will never work in this country. But knock yourselves out.
Absolutely.
Knock yourselves out.
Yeah, when you said birthing person, it reminded me of when your son Cambridge came in, because when I read that to him, he just lost it. He could not stop laughing at the ridiculousness of it.
Well, it starts there. It's all so silly. They premise everything. Their entire party is based on the evilness of America. Yeah. And yet they want Americans to vote for them.
That's fair.
I've never seen a party that thought I heard Bill Maher say this, and it really made me laugh out loud. They think the 1950s are so backwards, but the 1550s were cool. Right?
That's fair.
When you had the Native Americans out here and they were doing Lord knows what to each other, trying to kill each other, that was a perfect society to the liberals, because they're so busy trying to hate America, they can't even comprehend history.
Yeah.
And so if you start with that premise and you say, listen, we start here to run for office, we say we love America, but you just saw us over the last 6 months demeaning every good thing about the country, right?
Yep.
It's not working.
It's never going to work.
We know in our heart of hearts, it's a simple calculation. Those that love the country, though we may have some mistakes on our side of the equation, we love the country. And those that clearly do not love the country, even though they say they do.
Yeah.
So we're not falling for that. I don't think the American voters will either.
No, I don't either, Chris. And I don't want to, again, because I've got a good one I want to get to, but you brought up the New York race. Simple question. Do you think the socialist is going to win that race, or do you think the former governor has closed that gap? Because for a while it looked like it was going to be a runaway for the socialist.
I think he's closed it, but I think in a three-person race like that, the socialist has the advantage. Here's the thing. I realize the more moderate to conservative New Yorkers are petrified by this. And I'm not suggesting that anybody wants him to win. I don't. Mm-hmm. I know you don't.
Yeah.
But if he does, at least it's a training ground for their stupid, ignorant political philosophies.
Amen.
And when it fails, and it will fail because it's failed everywhere else it's been tried, at least maybe Americans will have enough of that bad taste in their mouth watching it fail that they'll never repeat the mistake.
You would hope, but...
And it will fail. You'll see.
Oh, yeah.
That city will be... he's going to run industry out. He's going to run investors out. Crime is going to soar, and there'll be shortages. Yep. And it'll happen so fast it'll make your head spin.
Yep. Yeah, and like I said, as much as we don't wish misery on anyone, if you vote for misery, you get what you deserve.
Get what you deserve.
Chris, this is going to be the fun one here, because we've all heard by now about this 3-eye atlas thing that is, this interstellar, we don't know if it's comet, there's speculation about it. Apparently, NASA was able to take photographs of it when it went past Mars, but we don't know if they did because they're blaming the government shutdown for why they're not releasing.
Let me tell you
what do you think this is?
I'll tell you what's going on here, okay? This is the third interstellar object that we are aware of entering our solar system. Mm-hmm. And you might say, what is an interstellar object? Well, it's something that comes from outside of where we are. The universe isn't always consistent, but there are consistent patterns. Gravity creates those patterns, right? And you've seen these patterns develop over millions of years. That's why we have planets that orbit around the sun. And that's why we have a moon that orbits around the Earth. Gravity creates patterns. This Atlas comet, we'll call it, is behaving a little differently than the other interstellar objects that we've seen. First of all, it's larger, and second of all, it seems to have some unusual characteristics as it's releasing its tail or not having a tail at all in some aspects. So there's been a Harvard physicist that has argued that he thinks this might be a foreign probe, that is, evidence of extraterrestrial life. And he says there's about a 40% chance of that. And so what he's saying is that this object now has gone behind the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And when the object goes behind the sun, we can't watch it. So keep in mind, it's in a blind spot right now.
Mm-hmm.
NASA has told or asked all of the federally funded telescopes to be prepared as it comes back around the sun, and let's get some really good pictures of this as it emerges from this dark area. The Harvard physicist seems to argue that he thinks they could be releasing probes, and these probes would surprise us because they would come from our blind spot and then maybe have some nefarious or deadly purpose. Here's why I don't think that's the case. And I'm not being a smart aleck here. I'm just being sincere. There is an anthill in my yard, small anthill.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had to hide from it to attack it. They're inferior. They couldn't stop me if they wanted to. I don't have to release probes behind a blind spot on the sun. I can just walk up and attack the anthill.
Yeah.
A civilization that can send a ship of that magnitude, that distance, have a way to break behind our sun to release probes, why would they have any fear of us intercepting the probes in the first place? It's nonsensical. We're the anthill in the relative universe compared to higher technologies, or higher, if they exist, or higher and more advanced species, right? And there's an argument to be made. That's the reason they haven't contacted us, is because they fly over and they say, they're not quite ready. you know? I mean, look at these people. They're still treating cancer with poison.
They can't tell you what a man or a woman is.
Maybe so. So they're just not quite ready to contact us. Now, I'm not sure about all that. This is all how they speculate. I think what you're going to find at the end of this, it's a really unusually acting, but mostly acting like a comet, and it's going to behave like a comet, and that it's going to swoop around. The sun's gravity is going to change its direction just slightly. It's going to then redirect itself back out of the solar system at some point. Nothing to fear, but a lot of speculation. And that's, look.
Wouldn't it be cool, though, if it was an alien space, and they're not here for nefarious? Wouldn't that be cool, though?
As long as they're here to be nice, right?
Like E.T. comes down, and he's, the same kind of character that he was in the... I mean, that'd be cool.
With our attention span, it would take about 10 minutes. We'd move on to the next problem.
Oh, somebody would try to, say... They'd start an anti-alien movement, I'm sure, right away. They're here for no good or something. I mean, you know how the internet is.
Democrats would blame Trump. Trump would blame the Democrats. I don't know how that ends. But I think this Atlas device, this comet is what it is. It's a comet. And I think once it comes out back into visibility, sometime around the middle of the month, 10th or 11th, I think they're saying.
I think that's what I've said. I've seen a couple of different dates.
And at that stage, we'll get a bunch of good pictures of it and study it more. And people say, well, how could you not know? Listen, y'all, we are still a fairly not very advanced civilization when it comes to space. This is the third interstellar object that we've studied. There have been others, but they were prior to our technology of being able to study. Yeah. We're very limited still, and we're speculating and we're guessing, and we have brilliant people, but we're just not quite there. And so that's why all this speculation is, because even the brilliant folks are scratching their heads just a bit. But think of it from a common sense perspective. If it were dangerous, if it meant harm, it wouldn't have to go through all those maneuvers.
That's my thing.
Yeah.
The fact that they're going around the sun, and I think if it was intelligent life, they'd have a clear, straight path and wouldn't have to go behind the sun.
Yeah, they're going to use the sun. There's a maneuver, they call it, to use the sun's gravity to slingshot back around and change the trajectory of the comet. But like you said, if it were a highly advanced species, it could do that on its own. It wouldn't have to worry about all those maneuvers that we have to worry about.
Yeah, and that's but like I said, it's fun to talk about.
Yeah.
And watching some of the hysteria, of course, the conspiracy theorist folks, that's been fun too.
Well, let me tell you about that. We've talked about conspiracy theories on this show a few times in the past, and it's really fun to dive into, only because there's no right or wrong answer. No. And people love being able to state an opinion without being called out as being stupid. And that's why we have debates about sports all the time. Think about it. If you're in a sports bar and you're debating sports, I mean, it's a debate. It's subjective for the most part. It's very difficult to ascertain the best ever played or the best team that ever was. Yeah. So you have all these cool arguments that can be made, but nobody can be proven wrong.
No.
It's the same with conspiracy theories. We're able to try to control it for a while and have fun with it, and it gets us clicks online.
Yeah.
Right? If you look, how brilliant is this Harvard physicist? Mm-hmm. He's probably pretty bright.
Very bright.
And he's the one claiming there's a 40% chance. But his real genius here is that now, for the first time in his career, he's famous. Mm-hmm. And the second time, for the other first thing is, everybody's paying attention to space again.
Yep.
He probably did that just as a way to get us talking about these issues again.
That's fair.
That's how smart he probably really is. He doesn't think necessarily it's an alien spacecraft. He knew by saying it out loud, it would generate a ton of buzz.
If he truly believed it was an alien spacecraft, I think he'd give it higher than 40% too.
Yeah, fair enough.
But 40% gets people's attention.
It's a very large comet that's not going to strike the Earth.
No.
And we'll get some good pictures of it on the 10th or the 11th. And if it turns out to be probes, there are 3 million Mississippians, and we have 7 million guns.
We got a couple right behind you. We're ready.
Anyway, we'll see what happens.
Well, Chris, again, you brought up sports, and you're right that, sports opinions are simple. You can't truly be proven wrong in some of them. Some you can, like picking games, which, I'm here lately, I seem to struggle with myself, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you we've got Game 3 of the World Series coming up either tomorrow night or Tuesday night. The series is tied at 1-1. Dodgers versus the Blue Jays. America versus Canada. Who's going to win the World Series, Chris?
I think the Dodgers. No, don't get me wrong. Toronto's an exceptional baseball team with great pitching and great hitting. But the Dodgers won it last year. Mm-hmm. They've been there before. And they also have great hitting and great pitching. I heard somebody argue the other day they thought Toronto had better pitchers, and I thought, man, I don't see that.
Yeah.
As long as Yamamoto and Ohtani are even near the mound, the Dodgers have a chance every time they pitch.
Yeah.
And that's not counting Schnell and the others.
Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. So I think the Dodgers have the slight edge. Now, with that said, I want to see 7 games. You know that.
Oh, I do too.
I want to see 7 games. I want to see 10 innings. I want it to go down to the last couple of pitches. I want to see a good baseball series.
I'm right there with you.
And if the Dodgers lose, I'm okay with that. I want it to go down right to it. I want to see greatness.
And, of course, tonight, the Packers at the Steelers playing Aaron Rodgers playing against his former team. He has a chance, I think, to be the 5th person in the history of the NFL to beat every NFL franchise. So who you got in tonight's game? And remember, the only correct answer is the Packers.
Yeah, where are they playing?
In Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. That changes things just a bit. The Packers have had some ups and downs this year.
They have.
Especially defensively. And on the road, it might be a problem for them tonight. What's the spread say?
I don't know the spread. I hadn't looked at it.
You think about Pittsburgh's defense stinks too. I've heard, I don't watch NFL much anymore, but I've heard and read that there's a huge disappointment as far as their defense this year.
There has been.
But then again, as much as I like the Packers, the one quarterback I would never vote against or pick against, his name is Aaron Rodgers.
That's fair.
I mean, I've seen a lot of quarterbacks in my time, and I've seen a lot in person in my time. I have never seen a more accurate passer, a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. Now, with that said, he has something to prove. He says he doesn't. He says this is not a revenge game. I think he's going to have a really big game.
He does play better when he's got a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, he does. And he's a brilliant guy. And with that Green Bay defense being they've got talent. And when they're rushing the passer,
yeah,
they're tough.
And the Pittsburgh doesn't have a great offensive line.
They do not. That's the thing. So keep in mind, he's going to have about 2.8 seconds. He takes a snap, 2.8 seconds to get it off. But if anybody can do that and do it successfully, it's that dude. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. He and Tom Brady, the ability to take that snap, 2.8 seconds, find somebody open and get it out. So, I want to see a really good game. Mm-hmm. But I hope the Packers win, naturally, but I want to see a good game.
Of course, some of you will watch this after these games have been played. Right. So if we're wrong or right on something, you can't hold it against us.
Our producer here, she's NFL Films now. You know that?
She is. She actually shot that overtime tie the other few weeks back. So
pretty cool. Pretty cool to know she's around all that greatness, and here we are in this, small room burning up right now. Must be nice.
Well, Chris, I always enjoy having a chance to flip the script a little bit. Yeah. I know you enjoy it because it means you don't necessarily have to pull stories together and just, not that you're not constantly reading, because if you weren't, you wouldn't have been able to answer these questions.
But I'm not doing this again until I get a chair that works.
Well, I'll get on to Kevin about breaking the chair, because it had to have been Kevin.
Hire some tall people or something.
I don't think the issue's Kevin's height.
Okay. Take up for him. Well, look, this has been interesting because I am very, very low to the ground. We're toward the end of this.
We are straight up wrapping up.
Good deal. Well, let's do this. I enjoyed it, Jack. Thanks for all the great questions. Good interview. Had a good time. Issues were squared away. As always, we appreciate you listening. Thank you for being a part of this. Any questions, comments, right there in the comment section underneath the video. And if not, we'll see you next week. This has been Chris McDaniel's America here on the Midnight Ride, the home of the anti-establishment movement in this country. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The MyPillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, MyPillow 2.0.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. Just like all of you, I never imagined that MyPillow could get any better. That's why I haven't changed it in nearly 20 years. Then I heard about a revolutionary new technology, and I knew I had to bring it to you all. MyPillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of MyPillow.
The MyPillow 2.0 is cooler and softer than the last MyPillow. It is so comfortable to sleep on at night. I look forward to going to bed, and I wake up well rested in the morning.
Sleep is all about temperature and height. MyPillow 2.0's patented adjustable fill is going to give you the exact individual support you need from your head to your bed. And now here's where it gets even better. We've all experienced those temperature-related sleep interruptions where you get too hot, you toss and turn, you flip your pillow over to the cool side. Well, all that's gone with my brand new MyPillow 2.0 cooling fabric that's made with temperature-regulating thread.
The best sleep just got even better. Whether you have a MyPillow or not, you need to get the brand new MyPillow 2.0. Call or go to MyPillow.com now. Use your promo code, and for a limited time when you buy one, you'll get a second one absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
Visit MyPillow.com.